Rest is not a luxury. Rest is a necessity. Rest is not a should, it is a must. Rest is essential for productivity and foundational for success. These are not controversial statements, but the majority of people disagree with the sentiment through their behavior and the way they choose to live their life. A bodybuilder knows that rest is just as important as nutrition and working out. If he does not rest, he will overtrain. Muscle mass will decrease. Energy levels will atrophy and burnout is inevitable. Without rest, he will achieve the exact opposite of his stated goal. He will not grow. What people don't understand about rest is that it is a fundamental component of success. And in this context, it is really irrelevant how you define success. Maybe it's making a lot of money, being a good husband, getting famous, or just being a good friend. Rest is essential for all of these things to come to fruition. Modern science has now validated what the ancients already knew. Work provided the means to live, while rest gave meaning to life. I spent much of my 20s grinding hard, whether it was studying at university, finding my feet in Beijing, or climbing the career management ladder in Germany. I developed a habit of doing things which I didn't want to do, but things which I thought I should do in order to achieve that career progression. I was very disciplined, and I bought into the ethos that progress is struggle, work is pain, pain requires discipline, and mastering this kind of energy was something to be proud of. I think this kind of energy is very common in your 20s. I know a lot of people experience a kind of existential angst in their 20s. There's so much change, there's so many decisions to make, and it often feels like there's this intense pressure to get your life in order and to start making progress towards, these life goals that society gives us. But something has changed. This kind of energy is not serving me anymore. It's so easy to fall into the trap of making your life so busy that you associate being busy with being productive and making progress towards your goal. In creative and service industries where there's no factory whistle to signal the day's end, it's easy for workplace cultures to valorize long hours and normalize burnout. Today's leaders treat stress and overwork as a badge of honor, brag about how little they sleep and how few vacation days they take, and have their reputations as workaholics fully tended by publicists and corporate PR firms. If you are anything like I used to be, then you probably A, feel like you don't have time to take a break, and B, if you actually do take a break, you feel kind of guilty for doing it. You have this ambient anxiety that you should be doing something towards, achieving a future that you've set for yourself. The problem with this mindset is that you can never relax, you can never fully shut off. And this is problematic for many reasons. The solution to this is to associate rest and taking a break from work or study or your money-making activity as essential for making progress and staying on track. When you do something shameful for pleasure, the pleasure passes quickly, but the shame endures. When you do something hard for good, the effort passes quickly, but the good endures. If we associate rest with shame and guilt, we are forcing ourselves into a never-ending cycle of purgatory. So after struggling with this for many years, I've come to the conclusion that rest is essential, really regardless of where you are in life. And just to hammer this point home, here are 7 reasons why you should be taking regular breaks. Number 1, reframe what rest is. The definition of rest has changed. So if you look up the definition of rest, you'll probably find something like to cease work or movement in order to recover strength. The reality is that most of us are very inactive at work. If you're a bodybuilder, then yes, rest might look like being inactive and not doing very much when you're not working out. But for the majority of us, we spend most of the day sitting down at a desk looking at a screen. And so in order to get a rest from this type of work and activity, actually kind of the opposite is what is required. For instance, going outside for a walk would be a rest from this type of work. If you're a manual laborer, then yes, rest might look like lying on the sofa all evening. The point is that it should be a balance. Don't just think because the dictionary definition of rest is to do nothing, to be in a motionless state, this does not necessarily apply to you or your specific situation. Number 2, concentration is limited. Now, the science on this is pretty clear. For most of us, we actually cannot concentrate for a long period of time. Studies vary, but for the majority of people, they cannot fully concentrate on a task for longer than 20 to 30 minutes. And so it makes a lot of sense to work in, short sprints or bursts of energy. That's why study techniques like the Pomodoro method exist, because it's just much more effective to learn or to work in that way than to do long drawn out marathons like what is usually apparent in the traditional workspace. Sometimes the most effective thing that you can actually do is to stop work, or at least to switch your focus to something completely different. Focusing on work for long periods of time is counterproductive. Rest is necessary for effective work. Number 3, foster creativity. It's often in rest that ideas or solutions to big problems come to us, not while we are focused and honed in on the problem. Just like the body, the mind requires rest to fully function. Albert Einstein's routine is pretty popular at the moment, and one of the things that's often highlighted is, first of all, how much he slept. He usually slept for around 10 hours a day. And also that he didn't really work very much in the traditional sense, in that he only worked up until about 1 p.m. He would take long walks and read a lot. If you're a knowledge worker or you're dealing with complex issues that require a lot of thinking, the solutions rarely come, in the moment when you are brainstorming and trying to sort of hammer out the battle plan. Usually the solutions come when you least expect it, when you are on a walk, when you're having a conversation with a friend who has no relation to your work whatsoever, or maybe even when you're listening to music or watching a TV show. An idea will seemingly pop into your head, and this is because you are relaxed, you have allowed yourself to rest, and this is just so essential in order to progress and achieve the actual things that you are trying to achieve. Number 4, planning breaks in ahead of time. So the Germans have a phrase, Vorfreude ist die schönste Freude, and this translates loosely to something like looking forward to something in the future is the greatest pleasure, and studies do show that people enjoy the process of looking forward to a holiday, a break, or an event in the future actually more than they enjoy the holiday itself. So that's why it's very important to have regular holidays planned so that you have that thing to anchor on, and it can be a great source of motivation and really brighten up your everyday life. This is one of the reasons why I take a break every 3 to 4 months. I love to travel. Travel is one of the ways in which I gain new perspectives, and one of the ways in which I can recenter and reset myself. Number 5, check your trajectory. It is very important to regularly check in with yourself. If you are constantly in work mode, if you are in the thick of things, then it's very difficult to zoom out and try to see if you're still on the right track. There's a reason why large companies have employee performance reviews, and I know that most people hate them and think they're a load of rubbish, but they serve their purpose. They are there to check if people are happy, if they are fulfilled, and if they are putting in a good performance. And you might not like to think of it like this, but numbers and figures and statistics are one way of measuring whether somebody is happy in the role that they are currently in or not. And if I'm completely honest, I have on numerous occasions doubled down at work and actively avoided zooming out because I had this sense that I was not on the right track, and I didn't want to confront this feeling, because this obviously then means if you ask these questions, you have to find an answer to them, and it can, lead to having to make certain decisions which are going to upend your life and create a lot of change, which, you're not always ready for that. A good way to check your trajectory and to see if you're on the right track is to look at people in your company or in your line of work who are a few steps ahead, and ask yourself if that is still what you want, if that's something that you are aspiring to become. If it's not, then that is the answer you need to make a change and take a different track. Number 6, avoid burnout. Even if we are intensely passionate about something, this can turn into an unhealthy obsession, which can lead very quickly to burnout. And the way to avoid this is to not keep doing more of the same, but to really take a break and stop whatever it is that you are doing. When we're in it, when we're in the thick of things, we're stressed out, it feels like the world is crumbling down around us. It's not possible to make any decisions when you're in that state, and that is why it is so important to take a break. One phone call or one email outside of work can create a cascade of emotional responses, which make rest and recovery impossible. If you're feeling, burnout, or you're just feeling kind of exhausted or emotionally drained, the most important thing you can do is to take a break from whatever it is that you are doing. Number 7, zoom out. So I've mentioned zooming out a few times already. If you are climbing up a mountain, the mountain path is very narrow. You have an abyss to the left of you. Your focus is extremely narrow and extremely restricted to the task at hand. You are focused on putting one foot in front of the other. Your head is down. You can only see maybe 2 or 3 meters ahead of you on the path, and you have no idea how much further you have to walk. It is only when you stop to catch your breath, to take a quick break, that you lift your head up, you look around you, and you are able to take in the whole scene with a wide-angle lens. It is in these moments that you finally have the opportunity to check your surroundings, to reassess, and to decide if you're still going in the right direction or if you need to take a different path. The point is that without taking a break, it is not possible to take stock of the situation, of your circumstances, and to even give yourself the chance to reassess and to make some decisions about where you're going. So I see rest as essential. I see taking a break as non-negotiable for productivity, for progress, for health, and for general overall fulfillment. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to sign up to my newsletter for more updates in the future. Take care, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye.